Ah, now I think it's running. Okay, still trying to, this phone. Anyway, I do so many things without thinking about sharing it to someone else. I went out and picked a bunch of nettle this morning. I just took the roots off and threw them away. You can use nettle roots, but I don't really need any. I don't have a problem for that. Get that little one off from there. Anyway, yeah, I pulled them up by the roots. In a lot of areas it was growing that I didn't want it to grow. I let it grow to get big enough, and then I pulled it up. There's actually some seeds, if you can see, right next to the vine. There's some seeds on this. Nettle seeds are good for you too. So what I'm doing here is I've been washing them up, and I thought, well, I should have been showing when I went out and pulled them out of areas they were growing. And sorry guys, just kind of got into get more into the habit of this. It's such an everyday part of my life, which if you want the health, I didn't get the root off that one. That's a little one though. It's such a part of my everyday life, and that's what it's got to be. And I'm trying to even get it more, because we really, really need herbs in our life, especially with the battle we are fighting against all the chemicals around us, and the radiation from our cell phones and cell towers, and garbage in our food, and hopefully we can get away from that as much as possible. But anyway, we need to make herbs a part of our everyday life. And now you say, why is she holding those? Well, I rinsed them once. They don't sting as bad when they're little. When they get older, the sting seems to be worse. And I'm so used to it, I don't pay that much. Plus, I kind of hold it tight and down. And I have a little teeny one stinging my thumb because I didn't get it down. But it's okay, it doesn't hurt that bad. They do hurt more, though, when they get up a little bigger. This is a pretty tiny one right here. And I use gloves to pull them up with. Sometimes I'll pull them by my bare hands, but there was some bigger ones here, and I knew they were going to sting a little bit more. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get them in a pot of water and give them a real quick dunking. That kills the sting. Then I'll cut them up and scramble them into my eggs this morning. And they're really good that way. They're good just to eat. If I don't eat them first, they taste so good. Stinging nettle is awesome, and it's probably one of the most nutritious herbs you can get into your diet. I think what I'll do is talk a little bit more about the stinging nettle and add it to this clip. Here it is in the hot water. I'm only going to leave it in there just a minute. I don't want to kill everything, but that's the only thing I want to kill is the sting. Okay, now stinging nettle is Urtica dioicea is the Latin name, and the parts that you're going to use on that are the leaves, stems, roots, seeds. Now you're going to harvest just the young tips, but what I did was there was some areas where it was growing and I didn't want it, so I pulled it up by the roots, and then I cut the roots off. Now, except for a couple little ones, I kept them on because you can eat those too. I just really didn't need the roots. I don't use them. They weren't real big yet anyway. And yeah, but you eat all of it, the whole plant, and it is super, super, super. It's like a super vitamin. It has so many minerals and vitamins and everything in it. Okay, its native region is America. It's originally from Europe and Asia, they say, and they have it over there. I've seen videos with it grow. A lot of people eat it. Some people, they raise it commercially, because you can buy. Sometimes I don't get enough for as much as I want to use, so I order it offline. Now, for favorite places to order offline, I think I've mentioned before, my very favorite place was the bulk herb store. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. They switched hands. I don't know about the new people, and I've got to check out to see what they have, but their herbs are the freshest of anywhere I've ordered from. Now, if you can't get what you want from there, I do order from Star West and from Mountain Rose and a couple of other places too. I just, kind of look around. You want to be careful where you order from. You don't want to order from somewhere maybe where the herbs have been sitting for a long time on the shelf and are old and they've lost a lot of their potency. It's best if you can grow them yourself. That's why I want to share some of this with you in case some of you want to grow some. Now, I don't know if McGarvey from McGarvey Style is watching or not, but he's not that far from me. few hours, I guess, maybe 2 or 3. I'm not sure. Don't know exactly. I kind of know where he's at. Um, I know you have some up in the hills because I've been up in the hills and have picked it at friends' places, so you've probably got some up there somewhere. If you all don't have any of this, find somewhere where it's growing. Bring one plant home in a pot, pull it up by the root if there's lots of it there, and bring it home in a pot. And with all the seeds, pretty soon you will have stinging nettle. Even if you don't plant it, it's going to be everywhere. Got to keep on top of it. But it is wonderful. You could eat it enough, you don't have to worry about having too much of it because it's probably one of the very best herbs you can use for nutrition. Now, its botanical description, it's got serrated leaves, the little kind of pointy stuff like I showed you earlier in the first part of this video. You want to look for the little points on the leaves, they're little needles sticking up. Don't want to touch those. Smart aleck me, I thought, oh, I'm fine. Well, one of the bigger pieces stung me in the thumb, and it looks like a bee sting there now. So they can sting you pretty good. But let me tell you, it's worth it. What's the old saying? It ain't worth it if there's no work to it or problem to it. Well, there's a little bit of work. You got to be careful picking the stinging nettle. The young ones aren't so bad, but whew, that bigger one got me on the thumb, and it looks like a bee stung me there. Feels like it almost too. Not quite as bad, but they can grow real tall. Out in the wild, I've seen them growing really tall, but you want the young, tender parts of it. You don't want the tougher parts. And when they flower, they have tiny, fuzzy, white flowers. But mine usually don't get that far because I eat them before they do. So, yeah, I mean, this stuff is really, really good. Okay, now let me share a few things about this with you. It is a superfood, as I said. You briefly cook it in hot water to kill the sting, or when you dehydrate it in a dryer, that'll kill it too. It has a cardiovascular benefit on high blood pressure, helps the prostate and urinary issues. The roots are used for that part. It's if you eat it regularly, you get enough of it. It helps with allergy relief, joint pain, osteoarthritis, and other inflammatory conditions. Helps bleeding, like if you have an internal bleeding or nose or bowels or whatever. It will help burn wounds to accelerate the skin healing and prevent infection. Helps type 2 diabetes, well, as far as prevention of the diabetes. Now, this is stuff that I'm reading to you. Maybe help hair growth, and that's because of some of the minerals in it. Another one to take with that, if you're interested in your hair and nails, is horsetail herb. That's really good with the stinging nettle. It really does help. What the stinging nettle does, it has something in it that, if I can remember, it blocks some sort of a hormone that you get too much of, and it makes your hair thin out. Kind of depends what it is. Now, I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm just telling you about stuff I've read and researched and stuff, and how it helps me personally. There's more benefits. It has a lot of stuff. It's formic acid that's in the needle hairs that sting you, that you have to be careful of. Now, ways that you can use stinging nettle: you can dry it, make a tea. I eat it like a vegetable. I steam it and put in hot water briefly. You can juice it. I have juiced it. And another thing that I do just in the summertime when I want to drink, and it makes this beautiful teal color, I guess you would call it. I put it in water and let it infuse into the water, cold infusing, and it makes this beautiful color, and you drink it. I just real quickly dip it in hot water, and then I put it in the cold and let it set and infuse in the water, and it's beautiful, and it's really, really good for you. People have used it for clothing. The fibrous stems of the mature plants are used to make a twine, fishing nets, snares. The Native Americans did. The taste on it is, I don't know. People say it's kind of like spinach. I like it much better than spinach. What I'm going to do is, well, I have some recipes I'd like to share with you. Not sure how to go about doing that. If anybody's interested in any stinging nettle recipes, let me know, and I'll send you a few. But I don't really use recipes that much myself. I just cut it up, use it in my eggs a lot. I make, like I said, the cold infusion for the summer, and in the winter I use the dried in my teas to get what I can from that. See if there's, let me go through. In my Medica Media, I have a lot of papers on it. One of the herbalists that I follow and have taken some classes from, KP Kalsa, if I said his name right, he says, if in doubt, use nettles. And let me read a little bit from one of his things. Well, I don't know if I get in trouble for doing that or not. Anyway, better not. I don't want to get in trouble for, because I'm not sure how all these laws are on YouTube. You can make soup with it. I put it in soups and stews, and you can put it in meatloaf. There are so many ways that you can use this wonderful, wonderful herb. If you want to start out in herbs and if you don't know which herb to start with stinging nettle if you can get a hold of it, if it's available. It's a wonderful herb. You just have to be careful that you don't get stung, and you're not going to die from it if you do. It's not that bad. I mean, it's like getting stung by a bee. It's really not as bad as a bee, but it can smart a little bit, so you do need to be careful. But once you dry it or dip it in hot water, you're fine. After I washed my stinging nettle in my, I use a salad spinner. I lift that middle thing out and dumped it in the hot water I had going on the stove, left it in there for, I don't know, a minute or two, and then I had a spoon that I dipped it out because it was hot, and I'm letting it cool, and I'll dice it up and put it in my eggs this morning. But anyway, a little bit on stinging nettle. Hope you all enjoy, and I will catch you all later.